My name's Jacob, and I'm going to be presenting our solution to the OpenAI Climate Change Hackathon. Climate change is obviously a huge issue, but the specific problem that we are addressing with this solution is the matter of policy and guideline creation by governments. A lot of times these guidelines are long and difficult to understand. They're also difficult to write because they're region specific. So that's the exact problem that we hope to address, is the climate policy understanding and creation. We did so by creating Climate Policy Copilot. We used fine-tuned models for understanding and writing these policies. We leveraged lots of capabilities of GPT-3, and we used lots of data sets on things like public opinion, previous efficacy of policies, and region-specific data. We did address a lot of risks when we created this, namely, we prevented inaccurate and untruthful information from the models and prevented formatting and inconsistent data issues. I'm now going to jump into a quick demonstration of the solution. Okay, so here we are inside the application. On the left, we have a panel that allows us to use the different tools available to us. On the right, we have an input box. And a quick note is that these functions are able to run on large policy excerpts that are dozens or hundreds of pages using chunking. This particular example is out of the UK. It's regarding decarbonization. It's a few paragraphs long. We can do simple things such as summarize it. And this particular model is fine-tuned for summary of policy excerpts. And we can generate a more simplified version that is going to use simpler language for, say, a second grade audience. And we can also adjust the temperature for just about every tool. So we can adjust the randomness, and we can see that there is more simple language in this summary. I'm not going to go over all of these functionalities, but a lot of them are very useful for digesting policies in different ways, such as bullet points, question generation. We can also ask questions regarding this policy and receive an answer. We can also request a reference for our answer, so a quotation from the policy. We can generate FAQ. We can generate criticisms of the policy. This is very useful if you're a policy writer and you want to know the weak points in your policy. We also have access to Similar Policies tool, which uses data sets containing policies from various countries all over the world, such as Finland. We can adjust the number of similar policies that we'd like to compare our excerpt to. When we run this, it'll compare our excerpt to recent policies out of Finland. We have access to the name, date. We even have access to the URL. We also have access to a different tool which predicts the success of our proposed policy in a particular country based on the success of previous policies. Again, this is using data sets with policies released from various countries, as well as data sets that judge its efficacy based on impacts such as carbon emission reduction. And we can see that this selected policy would be successful in Finland because previous policies have been successful in the past. The final feature that we'll showcase here today is sentiment analysis, which utilizes data sets on public opinion from Twitter, as well as Twitter API, to judge whether or not your proposed policy would be accepted. According to the model, it would be, and it lists a little bit of an explanation why. This particular one is mentioning the importance of industry and the opportunities that decarbonization presents. So it tells you a little bit about its decision there. We hope that our application would serve as a tool to both the general public and policymakers. It will allow people to understand and write more effective policies. And perhaps it could even be used as a more broad exploration tool or incorporated into a great organization such as Climate Policy Radar.